And we're live. Good evening. Welcome along. It's another one of my weekly live web streams. Moved it to a Thursday today because I was busy yesterday. Biometrics, all learning how to run. Very, very posh. Right. Last week, the London Marathon ballot came out, and I got the usual yearly reply of thank you, but no thank you, like a lot of people have done. And since then, they've looked at maybe getting a charity place to run the marathon because they really want to run it. So what I thought I would do is get a couple of experienced charity runners with me tonight, and we'll have a discussion about the responsibility of being a charity runner and how also to make that money that they're asking for. Because I've seen this year that some charities are asking for up to about £3,000 from a charity runner. So that could be quite difficult to raise. So let's get into it. First of all, going to introduce Mark Gray. These two guys are both friends of mine. We're all in the same running club. But I'd introduce you to Mark, who is a seasoned charity runner. How much have you raised so far for your various charities, Mark?
Nearly £6,000.
So I think he knows what he's doing. And which charity is it you normally just use raise for one charity? What charity is that, Mark?
Institute of Cancer Research.
Fantastic.
Based in London.
Okay. And Kel, yourself, who do you run for, and how much have you raised in the past?
I'm running this year for KidScan, Children's Cancer Research, based in Salford. In the past, I've run for various other charities. My total overall at the moment is about 45,000.
Whoa. What I've raised pales into insignificance to them. Well done, Cal. 45,000 over your running career. That's brilliant. Well done, mate. So you definitely might have an idea or two of how to raise some money tonight. Right. So as I say, lots of people are now turning to the charity route to run the London Marathon, but it's not an easy route at all. You know, you can get the place, but it's not easy at all because there is that big. It is a huge commitment. It's a huge undertaking to raise so much money because this is the major charity fundraising event for these charities. So they do expect a lot from the runners. So what would you guys say to choosing a charity? What would you do to make sure you're choosing the right charity? You get us underway with that, Mark.
What I did was obviously my charity. I chose one that was close to my heart. I didn't want to pick one of the mainstream charities because obviously the mainstream charities they get everything anyway, don't they? The main like the big ones. So I went for a smaller one, the Institute of Cancer Research. And they're not a big one. Not everyone's heard of the Institute of Cancer Research. You probably not heard of them, Tony. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I hadn't heard of them until we started talking.
So everyone's heard the mainstream cancer charities. So I didn't want to choose one of them. So I went and I wanted to go because of my family history. I'd lost quite a few in my family through cancer. My dad, my sister, my brother, a lot of my family, and I wanted to go obviously to cancer research. So obviously, as I said, I chose the Institute of Cancer Research, and that's the way I went. I just wanted to go with a smaller one, and as you said, you just got to go with your heart really, and go with what you want to go with. Kel?
Well, I started basically with raising money for Macmillan over 12 years ago when I first lost my dad, and it was I put concerts on and everything like that, and then I started running 5 years into the concert just to mark the 5th anniversary of the concert. And I used to hate running when I was at school and everything like that, and were the ones who kind of guided me through when I lost my dad. They didn't get a chance to do anything for him because it was so quick. But the aftercare and everything, I sort of went with that. And the culmination of London Marathon for them was the 10-year anniversary of losing my dad. So it kind of came to that point of that was 10 years, and what a way to finish with Macmillan, really, on the 10-year. And after that, KidScan came about because me and my dad always talked about we wanted to do something for the kids side of cancer. And during that 10 years of Macmillan, I never actually got a chance to do something for the kids side, which I was really passionate about. And out of the blue last year, the year before last, I got a phone call and KidScan offered me a place in last year's London Marathon, which turned into a virtual. And it was so special because all of a sudden I got to do something for the kids. And then I found out, because they're a small charity, I was the only runner for KidScan. So that made it even more special. And then they offered me a place in this year's, because I didn't get to do London. They rolled it over and got me a place in this year's as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've both touched on a point that I think is very important when people are choosing the charity. You've both mentioned this, to choose a charity that you have a personal connection with. Do you find that having that personal connection makes the fundraising a little bit easier?
Well, yeah, because obviously you're raising money for what you want to raise money for. You're not just going out to raise money for something that you're not wanting to raise money for, if you know what I mean. You're going to be more determined to raise money. So I think that makes it easier, definitely, Tony, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. So the most important thing, first of all, sorry, go on, Kel.
I echo Mark's sentiments exactly. I mean, if it's passionate to you, then your heart and soul is in that, and it becomes the whole emotion of the affair. Rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it for a charity just to get in there. There is a difference, and the charities benefit whichever way you do it. But if your soul's in it, that's basically where I've got to come from for them.
Yeah.
And have you guys found it easier to raise money for Mark raising money for a charity cancer, Kel raising for Macmillan? I know when I've raised money, I've gone for smaller charities like the Mental Health and Asthma UK. Now, have you found it easier because I don't want to use the word bigger charities, but a more mainstream charity? Have you found it easier because of that?
I think I don't know.
I found it. I think each charity has its own. It has its own ways, really. I mean, the kids' charity, it's easier because everybody can relate to the kids' side of it. Because I'm not saying it's any more devastating for a kid to have cancer than what it is for an adult, but they tend to relate to that a little bit more. But then there's so many people who's been affected and had Macmillan dealings as well, so you get that side of it. So there is an element of you can see both sides of it.
So when choosing a charity, that's probably something for a new runner who's never gone down the charity route, maybe to look at that. Are they needing to look at a more mainstream charity to make the fundraising side easier for them in the first instance? If they get a charity place in the future year, they know what they're doing, so they could go for a smaller charity.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. So this year, totally different to how it's been previously. We've got the pandemic in, obviously. So I know with myself, my fundraising for 2020, which has now been rolled over to 22 for me, I was on a roll. I was doing okay. And then obviously the pandemic's hit, lockdowns come in, and the fundraising side has virtually come ground to a halt for me. Has it been different for you guys since March last year when this situation kicked in?
Yeah. it did. Obviously, everything just came to a halt, didn't it? The whole shebang came to a halt. Because, I mean, for me, I did a lot of mine through raffles and stuff at work, but yeah, so a lot of it came to a halt because of the pandemic. Everything stopped, and I think all the charities, I think everything just came to a halt. Every single charity came to a halt. I know yours probably did as well, Kel, because you did a lot of yours in a lot of your gigs and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I did. I started taking, like a pint pot or something. Put a pint pot out at the start, and I came up with the idea for Kids Scan last year of £2 for a kid, because we were just starting with the pandemic. We weren't in lockdown or anything, but another thing I found was if you ask people to sponsor you straight out, people automatically think that you're after paper notes straight away, £10, £20, and it can put a lot of people off. So I thought, bring it right down and put a fee on it, like £2 for a kid. If they want to give more, then obviously they can, but £2 is less than the price of a pint, and it worked. It put that figure in people's head. You weren't asking for a lot. People didn't have a lot of money, and it worked. And because of the charity, it went hand in hand with that.
Okay, right. So let's start brainstorming some ideas, because that's what people are watching tonight, and giving them ideas of how we can fundraise. Because previously, let's face it, you'll know this, Mark, being in retail, one of the easiest ways of raising money would be bagpacking on a Saturday afternoon, but that's currently all out the window.
Well, it's not really, because you can still do it. Best way to do it is get in touch with the community champions in the stores, and yeah, you can still do it because there's still obviously people going through the tills, so they can still backpack. I don't see it. Why they can't do it? Why they can't not do it? So just get in touch with your local supermarket and ask the question. I don't see why they can't not do it. So just ask the question, and even if they say no, they can always put you down for when it does come back in, and you're always first on the list when it's all over and done with.
Sound advice there. I think the first port of call in any fundraising activity for any runner is using family, friends, and that inner circle of people and not being afraid to just basically say to everybody, "Hey, I'm running London Marathon. I'm running it for such a charity," and then take it from there. How have you experienced that?
The first thing you need is just go in with your get a letter from your charity. So make sure you've got your letter. When you get your letter though, make sure you photocopy it and have about 10 copies, because the best thing is to have about 10 copies, because you need them to tell the people when you're going around places. So have about 10 copies of that letter. Once you get that letter, it's got your registered charity number and everything on it, and then just go in, hand it to whoever you need to hand it to in the supermarkets, and go to them all, and just go to every single one, and just try your luck with everyone. And the more you go to, the more chance you've got to, and just try your luck with every single one, because the more you go to, the more chance you've got of getting in. That's the best way to do it.
Bear with me, microphone just went off for a second. I should be back now. Right. Kel, what about yourself? Have you come up with any problems with family and friends, or have they all been quite supportive and helping out?
No, they've been quite supportive. I've used the internet a lot Facebook. It's during the pandemic. It's a very, very powerful tool if used correctly for the right manner and everything. You can push stuff out on there. I wouldn't go down tagging people because that can have an adverse effect. But yeah, but you know, it's perfect for the pandemic, for when you can't get out there.
Fantastic. Right, just before we go any further, I've got to say good evening to Kim, Andy and Michael, who've joined us tonight. Thank you very much indeed for popping up in the chat box. Excuse me. If anybody does have any questions about fundraising for charities, if you want to ask them tonight, please do just leave us a message in the chat box, start it, #question, we'll pick it up and we'll kick it around and see what type of answer we can come up with for you. Excuse me, dry throat tonight. So we're looking at family and friends. We can get them involved and what have you. But I'm going to put you on the spot. Kel, what's the thing that's worked the best for you in fundraising?
Oh, the thing that's worked the best. I think word of mouth. Word of mouth, to be honest. You start with that core of your family, but if you can get it out into the open, it spreads. And I think that's been the best tool for me, to be honest.
Okay. Mark, I know you mentioned printing off a letter from the charity, but what I did was I got some business cards printed. You know, when you see the adverts for Vistaprint, get 250 business cards for pennies, whatever. I just got a load of those printed with the Just Giving or the Virgin Money address on it and a brief reason why you're doing it. And then, you know, when you're speaking to people and they say, oh, yeah, I'll donate later, you can actually put something in the hand and say, well, here's the link. You can donate on there instead of that.
Can actually
to remember, yeah.
Can actually do QR codes now and everything, just straight to your Just Giving page. You can do everything now. You can get QR codes. You can get your link to your Just Giving page. You can do everything now. But putting me on the spot, the best thing I ever did was, and the quickest, and the bang for buck for me, and it was an easy 500 quid every time, was the memory miles, and it was on my shirt. So, and it was 20 quid a pop, and I've actually got my shirt here. I'll show you. Absolutely, £500, easy money, and all it was 26 miles, 26 names. Just got all my friends, all my family. You can see it all. Can you see that on the camera?
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
26 names on the back of my shirt. I just got all my friends, all my family, and I've done that over the 2 years. That's just over £1,000 over the 2 years, and it was easy money, and they're more than happy to do it. And do you know what? It was a sense of pride for them to see their names, their loved ones on the back of my shirt running around London, and it was amazing. The amount of people that wanted to do it, and I never had enough miles on the back of the amount of people that wanted to do it. It was amazing. So there's an absolutely, just do that, and you'll make 500 quid easy. 20 quid, just take 20 quid a mile, and you'll make 520 quid easy.
And that's quarter of your target already. There
you go. So do it. 520 quid.
One question people will ask is, where do you get your shirts printed up, and how much are you talking to get it printed?
Well, I actually went to File Coast Runners, and they did it for me for a £5.
Fantastic. So it's using the local running company who have that facility, and fantastic.
Lewis was brilliant. He just did it for me for a £5. He printed my name on the front of my shirt. He'd done the memory miles, and he charged me a £5.
Brilliant.
So it's just because once they see you're doing it for charity, they don't charge you that much. So it's cool. Great.
There is versions of that you can do if you didn't want to get printed, and I've seen this at various marathons. Pinning a piece of paper with the person's name to the back of the vest. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Different coloured ribbons. There's a whole variety of different ways of actually doing the same thing.
But then if it rains, you're screwed, aren't you? Because it just all comes off. So
it never rains in London. London's always a beautiful day.
Yeah. But yeah, that's £1,000 just for that. So it's a quick win. Absolutely easy.
Right. I know, Kel, you work in the entertainment industry that's similar to what I do. And I know it's a lot of my fundraising I've had to curtail because it was generally the music bingo nights or a quiz night or horse racing nights, and we just can't do those at the moment. So are you struggling because you put on a concert yearly, as you say?
Yeah, I've had to postpone the concert to September, so I'm hoping that goes ahead. And with the concert being for KidsCan as well this year, that's kind of my main fundraiser for London. So I've managed to squeeze it in September. Hopefully it'll go ahead, and a couple of weeks before London. So hopefully that'll tie up my fundraising for this year. But as you say, everything's just up in the air. So it's all about thinking outside the box this year and pulling that rabbit out the hat. Trying to come up with something different. I mean, I did, and I used that as a fundraiser as well because I couldn't do much else. But because I was running every day in January anyway, I did it for the Bobby Ball statue. And the last day, I had Bobby Ball's grandsons join me for the final run from Blackpool Tower to Lytham to Lowther Gardens, where the statues be. And Bobby's family got involved, and Granada Reports got involved. So we kind of made the best of pandemic produced.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there with doing something that will generate interest from external organisations, interest from the local newspaper, the local TV station, the local radio. So because you've touched on that as well, haven't you, Mark?
Oh yeah, and you can get your charity involved in that. The charities are really the charities have got like press gurus as well, and I've been quite fortunate with my 2 years. The Institute of Cancer Research have really helped me because they've touched on my story, and I've been fortunate. Northwest Granada, Northwest Reports, and the local newspapers, local media. I've been really fortunate. I've been on the television, and so I've made quite a bit of money through that way as well. So yeah, media, try and get your charity media person involved to get them to do a clip of why you're doing it, what you're doing it for. Yeah. It's
that personal interest aspect of the story, isn't it? What is your connection to the story? They're looking for, I won't say light-hearted, good news stories. Why are you doing this, and what you're hoping to get the outcome from it. So if you can give a good human interest story, then the media will pick up on it and they will back you, and they're giving out your links and what have you, and you
absolutely
can get, right. Michael's just asked us.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, Michael's asked us a question there. How often would you post to your social media platforms? So we'll start off with you, Kel. How would you hit the social media with a fundraising activity?
I think you need to be really informative, but you don't need to do it every day. The likes of Red January was different because you had to post your progress every day. But the likes of London, I would say probably 2, maximum 3 times a week leading up to London. So now you wouldn't need to do it as much, and then just gradually get a little bit more as London's getting closer. But just keep it really informative for people. Keep it light-hearted. Keep it not like you're pressurizing people for money. because that'll just turn people against the idea. But you really need to be a person and follow your story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can become just another charity fundraiser.
Yeah, it's that human interest all the way with everything we do whilst raising the money. You just mentioned then ramping it up as you get close to the marathon. A lot of new charity runners forget the fact that people will donate whilst you're running, if your family are updating your social media as you're actually running, and a lot of money will come in after the event as well. Now, once people have seen that you've achieved it and what you've done, money comes in afterwards. So if you've not hit your target before you start putting one foot in front of the other, you do have that opportunity afterwards as well. Have you found that, Mark?
Tony, honestly, I think on the actual marathon day, I think it was about £500 on my actual marathon day came in. I think Haley had my Facebook on the actual marathon day, and I actually went live 3 times on London Marathon. I did a Facebook Live 3 times on the actual marathon, and actually raked in £500 on the actual marathon day, just going Facebook Live on the London Marathon. So it's worth doing. So yeah, do it. Get someone to take your Facebook on the marathon day, and do a Facebook Live, because honestly the atmosphere is amazing anyway. But just do a Facebook Live.
The London Marathon, there's nothing like it, and it's not an exaggeration to say it is literally one of the best days of your life.
Oh God, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. You'll never ever experience anything else like it.
Yeah. Right, so come on, let's look at some little ideas of raising money, because we've talked about holding big events, which we might, if the vaccines get rolled out, we might be able to have some events before we get to London. We might be able to have some after London, but let's take those big events out of the equation. Let's look at smaller fundraising ideas. I'll kick off with the one that I particularly like, is the old football card. You know, when you've got 40 football teams and you sell that each team, and then you pull off the sticker at the top, and the person who's got that team is the winner. I do particularly like that. You can pick up about 10 cards for £3-4 from eBay. So it's a really cheap outlay to get you going. But even if you do it at £1 a team and give half of that money back as prize money, you're still making 20 quid from very little effort. Have you guys got anything similar to that you can throw into the mix? We'll start with you, Kel.
What I've seen 1 or 2 people do, and it's a really I find it a really great idea actually, is to put like a little stall outside the cleaning the house out, and it's like a home car boot. You know, people can come past if you put it on social media that you're doing it. You clean out anything you don't want. You just put a little stall out the front of your house. You can either man it, or you can have a donation box, and they can come by and see what you've got.
Good idea.
And yourself, Mark, have you got any little quick tips?
Get some collection boxes off eBay or Amazon, and go around your local newsagents. Make yourself some posters up, what you're doing, your charity, and ask your local newsagents if they'll put some charity boxes out for you. And I actually made about 300 quid by doing that last year. My local newsagents did it for me.
Okay, brilliant. So one of the major fundraising things is the raffle, and we know at Blackpool Freedom Runners that Mark is the king of the raffle. Very quickly, Mark, to tell a new person, how would you go about getting the prizes together? Not so much doing the raffle, drawing the raffle itself, because we don't have the big events where we can do the raffle, so it's all going to have to be Facebook Live or however actually drawing the raffle. But how would you go about assembling it? How would you go about getting the gear together that you're raffling off?
Oh God, it's begging. You just got to go into, honestly, we just go into every single place you can think of, Chinese's, restaurants, every shop you can think of. We just went into everywhere we could think of, and just asked them. We went in, as I said, I printed off loads and loads of my letters, my charity letters, and just went and told them what I was doing, why I was doing it, why I was doing it, and just said, could you donate a prize? And most people did, to be fair. And we ended up, well, you seen how many prizes we had at this raffle. Most people did it. They bought into it, and we had some cracking raffles, didn't we?
Oh, we have had. Would you say it's best to keep it local and go to the local businesses, telling them your story, getting that personal interest story out there again, or is it worthwhile going after the corporates?
No, we just kept it local. But I did go to places like Underwear, and I went to Lucozade. I got some Lucozade stuff. Where else? We went to some big ones. We did try some big companies, but they didn't. The big companies don't really recognise you, really, as you don't really tend to get as much from them. But I think SIS gave us some stuff, but not. We didn't tend to get much coke from them. It was more the local stuff that you get a lot from. But the local shops do. The local shops are really good. So just persevere. But you've just got to, you've just got to be present and just go in and ask.
What about yourself, Kel? Have you done any raffles as such, or?
Yeah, we a raffle at the LW Rock charity show, and as Mark says, I have tried some of the big ones, and some of the big ones surprise me. But they tend to have their nominated charity, which they give everything to.
Yeah.
And they won't deviate outside of that. And even if I hit on one or two who their designated charity was Macmillan, but they still wouldn't give to anything else Macmillan. They give direct to their core. So yeah, you are better off sticking with local.
Right, so there you go. For raffles, the number one tip is keep it local, keep that human interest aspect to it, and don't forget to big up the businesses for giving the prizes. You know, sing about it on social media as well. You know, if a local firm, is giving you something, good.
You know what? As well as when I actually was going into them as well, asked them if they had like stuff like flyers and stuff. So, and I said to them, if you give me some flyers, I'll put them out at the raffle. So yeah, so ask them if they've got flyers and stuff as well. So just speak to them like that.
Okay, so and I know a lot of businesses, and I don't know if you guys have come across this. A lot of businesses, they do take advantage of that scheme now. That if you are raising money for charity, that the company itself will match what you raise. I'm self-employed, so I've not been able to go down that route. But have you come across that, Mark?
No, Asda's used to do it, but they've stopped it now. A lot of companies have stopped it now. They used to do it, but I don't know why. But the government, there's something happened, and I don't know why, but it seems to have. Some companies still do it, but I know Asda stopped it. But it's something to do with ethics, and if a company earns so much money, then it's to do with how much money that company actually earn. If they earn so much money, then they can't give you, they can't match it. So it's to do with ethics and stuff now.
You've just reminded me by saying that, Mark, that one thing that we've not mentioned is when you're getting people to donate, is to make sure that if they are UK taxpayers, that they tick that box for the gift aid. So what's that, an extra 28.5%?
Yeah.
Yep. So that makes a big difference to the charity. That's an extra quarter of your donation coming through the taxman. So please make sure that when you get those donations, that you are getting that gift aid box ticked.
Yeah, and I think that helps you at the end of the day as well, because I think the charity recognises that at the end as well, don't they?
Well, now you've got to be careful. Some charities will take the gift aid as part of your donation total. Others are saying, well, that's over and above. You've still got to earn your 2,000. Anything that's gift aid is extra over that. So you've still got to raise that initial capital yourself.
Mm.
You've got to be careful. That's the other thing to say. When you sign up with these charities, you really do have to read the contract first of all, because it was Declan asked the question yesterday in the group chat. Now, if you take on the obligation to raise £2,000-3,000 for this charity, what happens if you fall short? Now, with yourself, Mark, I know all three of us haven't fallen short, but what were the terms and conditions like for yourself, Mark? Was there anything in there saying you are legally obliged to top up this amount if you didn't make it?
I never really read it, to be fair. And failure wasn't an option for me. I would never ever fail. I knew I wouldn't fail. So
that's the attitude, isn't it?
It was never going to be an option. So I would never fail. I knew I wouldn't fail. So as soon as I got in there, I was never going to fail. So
and the way you're smiling, Kel, I believe it's the same for you. Options not failure's not an option.
Yeah, definitely. It's always kind of been. I'm the same as Mark. I've never actually read the small print, but I knew what I had to raise. I knew I was going to raise it, but in the back of my mind, I always kept the fact that if I didn't reach that, I would have put it in myself. Whether that is the stipulation or not, I had that in my mind.
So here's me advising everybody.
Yeah, what I would say to people is, if you just have that in your mind that you have to put that in the shortfall, it will make you put your heart and soul into it even more as well, because you know you've got to raise that amount.
I think you get to the July anyway or something anyway, don't you? You don't. It's not.
Yeah, you get like an overspill after the event. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, as we said earlier on, it's not just that you run the race, the books are closed. No, it's about 3 months afterwards for you to get extra monies in to get up to that title. So here's me advising people to read the contracts, and the two people I'm talking to, no, what contract? Never read it. Brilliant. You can't make this up. But from what I've seen, the contract I had with the Mental Health Foundation, and it said it, and it was in capital letters. It said, any shortfall, you're morally obliged to fund the surplus. But I do believe there are other charities that say this is a legal obligation. You are liable for this. So I am advocating, not like Mark or Kel, that people do actually read the small print, just in case.
Yeah.
Right. Another one for quick fundraising one that I can never do because I'm self-employed. The good old bake sale. They always seem to work. Have you guys gone down that route at any point? Making cakes? No.
No.
Mark's got that face of, I used to be a butcher, not a baker.
Yeah, I was. Butcher.
But if you are
bake maker.
But if you are working in an office, that is an easy one for raising money. Even if you just make 12 cupcakes and sell them at £1 each, you're 12 quid in, aren't you, already? So it's the old staples that are the backbone to the fundraising. If you do a bake sale once a month, you've got.
I'll tell you another one. Which was really good for me as well. Was when I did my long runs. So I did a long run on a Sunday, yeah. So what I used to do was I used to break off on my long run, and I used to do, I would stop and have a drink. And on that, and when I had my drink, I used to do a video. So I did a live video, and I just used to have a quick 3-4 minute chat on that video. And then when I got home, I used to download that video onto my Facebook, and then on that video, I would just to speak to people and say, look, this is me on my long run today. And I used to talk to them about sponsorship and all the rest of it. And you know what? On that Sunday, I probably make about 100 quid. Mm-hmm. So, and I talked to them about what I was doing on that week and on the build up to it. So I never done it every week. I just did it probably about 3 times on the build up to the London Marathon. But I made about 100 quid. So it was maybe worth thinking about doing something like that as well. So yeah, I made about 300 quid. So 3 videos I did. So 3 long runs. So stop, do a video, and see that you're actually there. You're actually doing your long run. Mm-hmm. You're actually doing something.
Yeah, it's not just a few words you've written down in a Facebook post.
No,
You can
no.
actually see that there is effort and a lot actually going into it.
Yeah.
Have you used social media in that way, Kel?
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it more when the big events are coming up. Setting off from home, and people can follow your journey because they see you're getting everything ready, or do a live from before the start line, that kind of thing. I've not done it like Mark in the middle of a run, and I've done it at the end, and it kind of makes the people part of your journey rather than they're just the donating part. They actually feel part of the whole journey.
Yeah, not just a spectator, but part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, it's like about three stages all the way through it.
Yeah.
One thing I would point out, we mentioned earlier on donation boxes and going to, well, like we used to do in the old days, go around the pub and what have you. That's fair enough. But a lot of people think, oh, I'll take a donation box out on a run. Sounds great, but they can get very heavy, can't they? And I wouldn't recommend it.
Wouldn't they do it on a run? No.
Oh, both gone quiet.
I wouldn't do it on a run.
No. Right, Kel.
No.
I'm just going to ask you another question. So, any other quick tips from yourself? Any quick ideas that you've come up with, or you've seen that other people have used and thought, yeah, that's a good idea. I need to implement that at some point in the future.
Yeah, I've seen loads of people like making stuff, selling it.
Right, go on, Kel first, and then we'll go to you, Mark. All right.
Well, I actually, I mean, it's a little bit easier for me because I either, well, for us as well, we involve our running in it, in the actual raising money as well. Like Mark with his long runs, I involve my singing in it, singing challenges, that kind of thing. But yeah, anything you can make, anything you can sell, like I said before, like cleaning your house out, anything you've got to part with, rather than just chuck it out if it can be used again, then why not put it to charity?
Mm-hmm. So, sorry, Mark, you were going to say something as well about merchandise.
Yeah, if you go on, if you go on these London Marathon training sites, there's loads of people. You get loads of ideas on there. Loads of people are selling stuff, making stuff. You can get loads and loads of tips and ideas on there. Loads. People make key rings. They make little name tags. Loads and loads of ideas on there. So if anybody wants any inspiration or any ideas, they can go on there and get loads of ideas. Loads of good tips.
And
one thing I would say that during the pandemic is kids involved in it. Whatever you're doing, it could be something simple outside your house, inside the house. Just get the kids involved. So much better as well, and you'll find a lot more people because it's a family thing, and it just makes it a lot better.
People give more money to kids as well.
Yeah, I mean, I ran up and down the close 26 times with Carly in the wheelbarrow, and the whole close came out. We were in the first lockdown, and the whole close thing, and it just brought everybody together. And I think we raised close on 200 quid just in the close. People putting in a bucket. And I didn't expect any of that. I didn't expect anybody to come out.
So to sum up from what we've been discussing, the usual routes are still there for raising money, but might not be as accessible as they have been previously. As we said, you can't, your local football club or your local running club or your local pub itself or mothers union meeting or whatever, it's not there because we're not all together like we used to be. So those aspects of it are on the back burner until we were through this pandemic. So going forward, it's got to be thinking, as you say, outside the box with a heavy human interest element to it, that people can connect with and see why you're doing it and why they should help you out by donating to your charity.
Yeah, but you could still like make, you can still make stuff up and like hampers and stuff like that. You can make hampers up and sell them and raffle them off, and you can still do stuff. You can still think out the box.
One thing I will say that a lot of people get sort of confused with charity funding because they think they have to do something that's never been done before or that somebody else isn't doing. It's not the case at all. Your charity fundraising stand out is your story. It's just about you, why you're doing it. You could do the same as 10 or 100 other people are doing, but it's you that counts. It's why you're doing it. That's what makes it special.
And you will feel like a beggar. Trust me. You will.
It's not being afraid to ask, as we said right at the beginning. It is making sure that people know what you're doing, and you ask them, and then ask them again, and then ask, and just keep it in their mind, keep it in the forefront. Because as I said, people say, "Oh yeah, I'll donate," and then they go off. Something happens; it's totally gone out of their mind until they see you next time when you need to remind them again. Until we actually get through to a donation.
Yeah.
Right, okay, fantastic. So we've been going on now for 50 minutes. So thank you very much indeed, both of you, for sparing your time tonight to go through this. Hopefully we might have inspired one or two people and given them a few ideas of how to raise money for their chosen charity. Just before we disappear, the links to all three of our Just Giving and Virgin Money pages are in the description below this video. So if you want to donate to any of those, please feel free. Just a quick reminder, Mark, who are you running the London Marathon for this year?
Institute of Cancer Research.
Fantastic. And Kel?
I'm running for KidsCan, Children's Cancer Research.
Fantastic. So you're both running this coming October the 3rd. Hopefully see you on the BBC. If you get on TV, give us a wave. And just a reminder that I'll be running the London Marathon. I've deferred till next year, so I'm doing it in April 22. So you can donate to mine as well. I'm running for Asthma UK, helping people breathe a little bit easier, especially through this pandemic. Right, guys, thank you very much indeed for coming along. Really do appreciate the time. We'll have to do this again sometime in the future. I'll tell you what, we'll have to do this after the London Marathon and find out how we all did. That would be brilliant. Mark, thank you very much indeed. Kel, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Any final words before we end the stream?
No, just easy £500. Get on it. Get on it.
Just enjoy it. Enjoy it and do it for you and for the charity.
Fantastic. As I say, I hope that's helped you tonight. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, like, and tell your friends. And if you know anybody who is fundraising and there's stuff for ideas, get them to watch this stream, and hopefully we'll be able to help them out as well. So once again, thank you very much indeed. See you all again soon. And if you are the marathon for charity, you might even be doing the Great North. Are we all at the Great North this year?
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah, we're all at the Great North as well. So I know a lot of people use that event as well for fundraising. And these tips, it's not just London; it's for any fundraising event.
I see you've got the Berlin shirt behind you, Tony.
Yeah, are you there this year as well?
I'm there this year, the week before London.
So hold on, let's get this right before we disappear. Let's sort this out. So, Kel, you're going to the Great North, over to Berlin.
The Great North, over to Berlin, over to London.
Fantastic.
In 3 weeks.
Brilliant. And Mark, we're not going to talk about what you're doing after the London Marathon, are we?
Oh, no. I'm going for Great North to London to New York.
Brilliant. I feel really bad now because I'm going Great North to Manchester to Amsterdam. So I don't think it doesn't sound as exotic as you guys. Right, that said, we're going. Thank you very much indeed for watching. It's been a pleasure. Hope you've picked up some tips. If you've got any queries, comments, or questions, leave them in the comments below. So once again, thank you very much indeed for watching. See you guys.
Bye.
See you later.